Hey, Coach Tony here to talk about our new heavy mental module, Flow. When we talk about flow, we're talking about creating a situation for you where you have optimal engagement with work and life. So, a lot of you probably already have some sense of flow. It's when you're fully engaged in the present moment. And you might think of this as, a few moments in your life where you're in a flow state, possibly in a high pressure situation. But the research in flow actually says that this is a state you can get into nearly all the time. Not just once a year, once a month, but literally several times a day. So for most of us, and I put myself in this bucket at least for a lot of my life, flow states are rare. That we spend a lot of time not in the present moment at all. We spend time in the future worrying about future outcomes that we could only control if we would come back to the present, or feeling guilt or regret about things that happened in the past, which are obviously, by definition, no longer in our control. Or maybe we manage to find ourselves in the present moment, but we're experiencing that present moment passively. We're letting it just wash over us. Think about watching TV. So actually being fully engaged in the present moment, that's rare. So I'm going to mention a bunch of times the science, the research on flow states. A lot of that starts from the lab and the research of Professor Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, which I'm not going to say that name a bunch of times because I find it hard to say. But anyways, his research, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi's research, is that not just is flow state possible to create for yourself, but also that there are people out there that tend to be in flow states nearly all the time. And what he called this is autotelic personality. What it refers to is people that are consistently trying to create flow-like situations for themselves. And it's also not a personality that you're born with, it's a personality that you opt into. So that's what we're going to do in the module is we're going to try to create autotelic personalities for ourselves so that we can be in flow states multiple times per day. So getting into a flow state involves a lot of the skills we've already worked on in heavy mental. And if you're just now joining heavy mental, don't worry, we'll teach them to you again. It involves some amount of monitoring of yourself so that you're constantly what the flow researchers say is modulating your situation. What you want is to be kind of in this middle ground where whatever it is you're doing is challenging enough to be interesting, but not so challenging as to be frustrating. And the observation from the flow researchers is that people with autotelic personalities were just manufacturing challenges for themselves when a natural challenge didn't already exist. So there's a bunch of factors that go into creating a flow state for yourself. Let me just mention a couple that I think just to make it concrete for you. So you want to have some sort of clear goal, and now at this point in heavy mental, we've helped thousands of people set priorities. So a lot of you already have some sense of goals that you're coming into this with, and that'll be helpful. You want to be able to monitor the challenge versus skill level of whatever it is that you're doing so that you're in the middle ground. Not so challenging that you're frustrated, but not so little challenge that you're bored. And of course, self-monitoring comes into play from two of our previous modules. The way we teach meditation is really about monitoring yourself during the day so that you can be more productive. And the way we teach interstitial journaling, which is a productivity tactic that we invented in heavy mental to really boost your mindfulness during the day. That's again another opportunity to modulate your activities. And the flow researchers really use that word modulating a lot. That to stay in a flow state, you're going to have to be manufacturing goals and challenges in order to keep that focus and feedback loop and challenge levels, keep those right. So whenever I hear flow researchers talk about modulating, I think of gamification, because it's not just that you're challenging yourself, but it's supposed to be fun. It's natural for it to be fun. And so coming at it from the gamification side, it gets at a lot of what I see people resist. There's a puritanical streak in productivity where if it's fun, it must not be productive. So you have to give yourself permission to have fun. Uh, there's a there's a fear in productivity of anytime you make a decision around goals, it's, well, have I chosen the right one? And a lot of times that's unknowable. And in flow, a lot of times you're just manufacturing sometimes not clearly meaningful goals. If I'm doing the dishes, how fast can I do them today? Well, why is that a meaningful goal? Well, it's what allows me to modulate my dishwashing experience so that I could be in a flow state during it. I want to wrap it up a little bit with my own excitement for this module. You know, we see our role at Coach Shami is to open doors for you for a better life, and sometimes those doors are, very incremental improvements on your life. And every now and then we find a door that is very significant. So because I'm a programmer originally and I tend to think very logically, let me walk you through how I got to a I mean, I can't even oversell how powerful flow could be, but the let me walk you through the logic of it. So when I first started reading health research, I thought, okay, I should be measuring my lifespan, and if I do a bunch of hard but unpleasant things, I could maybe, extend my lifespan from 82 years to 90 years. I could get a 10% improvement. And then someone introduced me to the phrase Healthspan, which is it's not just how long you live, but how many healthy years you live. And of course, the logic of that of like, oh, well, quality has to factor in. I don't want 100 miserable years. I'd much rather have 80 fantastic years. Um, so I started to think in terms of health span there. But then when you start to get at flow, you realize how how rare it is to actually be fully engaged with life, and that maybe most people have maybe fewer than 100 hours in their life when they're really in a flow state, or fewer than 1,000 hours. And if you adopt this goal of you know being in flow as much as possible as your number one self-improvement goal, you have the opportunity to have take that 100 hours and turn it into 100 10,000 hours or 50,000 hours, right? That there's this not not an incremental improvement, but actual like a complete switch in your enjoyment and satisfaction with life and your productivity, and every side effect of flow is positive. It's not just that you're happier, it's that you get more done, that you'll be more successful, you'll make more of an impact on the world. Um, well, that's quite a door to open up, and I don't even have words to explain how what an opportunity that is, to really change our lives, to build up autotelic personalities. Uh, it's very transformative. It's a very transformative opportunity. So I hope you jump on it with me. The way Heavy Mental works is, you can join at any time. The idea is that we train our brain year round, and really, I'm hoping to put in you a ethos around training your brain for the rest of your life, because it's compounding interest, and over time, it just gets better and better and better, more productive, more impact. And then of course I'm supposed to tell you who I am. I'm Coach Tony. Coach.me is a company I started, and so if you're new to the company, that's who I am.